Hola amigos, ¿bien o no? Saludos desde Medellín. Hoy el tema es ¿quiénes son su audiencia? Y también para pensar cuáles son sus necesidades y en quién podemos ayudarlos. Ese es el tema de hoy. So, hello from Medellin. Our theme for the day is who is our audience? What do they need? How can we help them? And in some ways to think about how are they likely to respond to what we're going to say to them. So let's think about that. Because in all our conversations we have, whether we're talking to lots of people or we're just talking to one person, we have an audience. So it's as well to think about them in terms of not just what they're going to hear from us, but perhaps what do they need? What are they expecting from us? How are we best able to help them? And also perhaps how do we think they're going to respond to what we're going to say to them? Because all of these things help us prepare. And this is very important when we're getting ready to use our second language, because we want to try and do this as efficiently and as stress-free as possible. So to avoid too many mistakes and to make these conversations go a little more smoothly, it's good to think about how our words are going to be received. What do these people really need from us? How can we best help this conversation to move to a good conclusion? How are they likely to react to our words? And therefore, what are the best words for us to choose? All kinds of things to think about. Now, some of this will depend on the context where you're using these conversations. I mean, in a professional context, it might be fairly obvious the chain of your conversation. You know, maybe you're going to do that sales pitch, so you need to talk about the product, know the kind of objections you're likely to get, have ways to handle that, and hopefully then close out your sale. But even in a very basic way, let's say you're just walking around town, you're trying to ask directions or buy a ticket on the metro, something like that. Even in that short conversation, there's something to think about in terms of the person you're going to ask the question of. What do they expect from you? What kind of information are they looking for you to provide so they can help you? How can you best give that information so you get a better answer? And how are they likely to respond if you manage to do that or if you don't? So always round thinking about who your audience is and how you can best help them. And even if that's not you giving the answer to the situation, perhaps you can just help them by giving clear information. In all cases, this still helps you get to a better conclusion of your conversation. So, every day when I make these videos, for all of you, my happy viewers and subscribers, I'm trying to think in terms of what do you need from these videos. So my general idea is, okay, well, I'm taking it that you're looking to learn and improve your English. I take the slight assumption that most of you are probably from Medellin, or at least Colombia, as are most of my students. So I try to share things that I found useful when I've been talking to my students in these last few days. And I hope, therefore, the way I present it is useful to you. So thinking about you, my audience, I'm thinking about, okay, what kind of things are they likely to need? How can I best help? And how is that going to be useful? So, in all senses, thinking about your audience, whoever that might be, is a very useful exercise because it helps us focus on the language we might need. It also helps us think about likely responses we're going to hear, and it gets us into trying to make the best use of the vocabulary we have to express our ideas on all these kind of topics. So think about that. who is the audience in your next conversation? Who are you going to be talking to? How can you help them? What do they need? How are they likely to respond? That's the idea for the day. I hope you find this one helpful. Déjame saber, como siempre, en los comentarios. But for now, from Medellin, we'll say cheerio.